Alright, wanted to do another quick video here. So, I've been kind of lacking with this stuff. So anyway, the car starts, runs, drives, all that good stuff, but it smokes terribly. And at first I thought it was carbon because a lot of the smoke looks black, but going down the street, it definitely is blue. And, you know, at some point sitting in the driveway and just free revving it, you can tell it's blue smoke. So I'm a little confused as to why. Did a bunch of research on the forums. You know, a handful of things were thrown around, from one of the more likely ones being kind of blown turbos, which in this case would be weird considering that this engine seems extremely low mileage, has great compression, all that good stuff. And also I looked at the turbos before I put it in, and there were no shaft play or anything like that, but you know, the seal could still be bad, so still a possibility. But another one thrown around was oil control ring, which from what I've seen on the forums, doesn't really happen all that often. So I was worried about that, but did some more digging and actually started to read a lot about the oil metering pump. Now, the oil metering pump in this car, you know, it's a Mikuni unit. So in '99, basically, they upgraded the OMP to a new design. You know, I don't want to go on a huge spiel about it, but basically it flows a little better at higher RPM. So it's different than the stock Denso unit off my original motor from '93, or what we basically got here in the US. At any rate, I got the Power FC hooked up, and I was doing a sensor check. I read up a bunch about how the oil metering pump works, and it's really just a 0 to 5 volt sensor. So, you know, as you basically at idle or with the key on, it should read about 1.1 volts, and then as you accelerate, push the throttle down, it should go up to about around 4.4 from what I understand, around the max. And basically, the higher the voltage, the more the valve opens inside the metering pump, and thus the more oil is injected. Well, here's what I found after reading all that. Went into my Power FC's little monitor window here. I don't know if you'll be able to see that or not. Maybe. Okay, there you go. Went down to etc., took a look at the sensor checks, and if you notice that VMOP, it's the fourth value on the left, is reading 1.56 volts, which is, right now the key's just on, and even with the car started and idling, it just is at 1.56 volts. That's higher than it should be. I'm going to go ahead and push the throttle down, and you'll see the VTA 1 and 2 go up and down. So you see those values move, but if you notice, the VMOP, i.e. the oil metering pump, does not move. So what does this mean? Well, basically it means that the oil metering pump is not functioning the way it should. Now, there's a couple things to note. When the pump fails, according to everything I read in the forums, it fails in whatever the last state it was in. So whatever value the voltage was at, in this case 1.56, it fails at that voltage and basically stays, you know, whatever level the valve was open, that's what it stays at. So what does that mean? Basically, that's exactly why the car is smoking. So again, with the key just on, the value, the voltage value for that oil metering pump should be right at 1.1 volts, or right around there. Maybe a little less, maybe slightly more, but not 1.56. So the oil metering pump is out of range, and it's stuck open a little bit more than it should be. So basically that means, you know, when the car is idling, it's just injecting a whole bunch more oil, and thus the smoke. And this also explains, actually, when I go the 2 or 3 times that I took it, you know, right down the street and back, as I go a little bit higher in the RPM band, and keep in mind I haven't gone like past like 3,000, the smoke gets way less, because basically the ratio of oil to fuel being injected and everything is getting closer to being correct. It basically goes from incorrect to slightly incorrect again, but this time on the lean side, which isn't good. So anyway, that's what it is. I'm 90% certain that the issue here at this point is the oil metering pump. Unfortunately, it is a huge pain to get to that guy. And I've heard anywhere from 2 hours to 15 hours to replace it with the engine in the car. Most of the time this is swapped out while the engine is out of the car. Obviously I don't want to pull the whole motor just to do this, so there's good news and there's bad news with all this. I'm going to try to swap the pump out for the original 93 Denso unit, which as far as I know works fine. And then probably eventually it would be wise to go ahead and replace it again with another Mikuni, which is what the 99s came with. It's not going to hurt to run the 93. It's just the 99 is a better OMP together. Or, you know, you can just go ahead and run premix and not have to worry about this at all. But it's kind of a pain. So anyway, that's where it stands, and I'm going to see if I can't get this sucker out. Should be fun.